The council chamber stretched across 3 star systems, connected by quantum links that made distance meaningless. Representatives from 2,847 different species sat in their designated sections. Some breathed oxygen, others methane. Some had bodies made of crystal, while others existed as clouds of organized particles. But today they all watched the human delegation with varying degrees of annoyance. Ambassador Chen stood at the human podium, her dark suit crisp and professional. She was a small woman by human standards, barely 5.5 feet tall, but she had represented Earth for 20 years. Behind her, the other human delegates sat quietly, their faces unreadable. Chairman Velkoth, a towering reptilian being from the Zephyrian Empire, activated his speaking crystal. His voice boomed through every translation device in the chamber. "The vote is complete. 2,846 species in favor. 1 opposed. The Expansion Limitation Act is now law." Murmurs of satisfaction rippled through the chamber. The Drachnid representatives clicked their mandibles in approval. The crystalline collective hummed with pleasure. Finally, they had put restrictions on humanity's rapid expansion across the galaxy. Ambassador Chen did not sit down. She remained standing, waiting for the noise to quiet. Something in her posture made Chairman Velkoth pause. He had known Chen for 2 decades. This stillness was new. "Ambassador Chen," he said, a hint of condescension in his tone. "The vote is concluded. You may be seated." "No," Chen said simply. Her voice was calm, carrying easily through the translation systems. "I will not be seated because I will not be staying." The chamber fell silent. Even the species that communicated through light patterns seemed to dim. Chen looked around the vast space, making eye contact with representatives she had worked with for years. Some had been friends, most had been colleagues in recent months, many had become adversaries. "For 150 years, Chen began, humanity has been a member of this council. We have contributed, we have assisted, we have protected, we have built. And for 150 years, we have heard the same complaints. We are too aggressive, we expand too quickly, we interfere too much, we are too loud, too bold, too human." A Drachnid delegate interrupted. "You must understand, Ambassador. Your species—" "I understand perfectly," Chen cut him off. Something in her tone made even the massive insectoid being close his mandibles. "We understand everything. That is why I am here to deliver one final statement from the government of Earth and all human colonies." She pulled out a data crystal and placed it on the podium. It glowed softly. "Humanity withdraws from the Galactic Council, effective immediately." The chamber exploded into chaos. Delegates shouted in thousands of languages. Translation systems struggled to keep up. Chairman Velkoth slammed his crystal staff on the floor, the sound reverberating like thunder. "This is unacceptable," he roared. "You cannot simply leave. There are procedures, there are contracts, there are treaties." Ambassador Chen smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. "All contracts have been fulfilled. All treaties have been honored to the letter. All debts have been paid. The data crystal contains confirmation of every single legal obligation. You will find everything in order." She paused. "You will also find that every human employee, contractor, consultant, and advisor in council space has been given notice. They are leaving." "You cannot do this," a voice called out. It was Chancellor Prex of the Drachnid Union, one of humanity's harshest critics. "You are part of this council. You have responsibilities." "Responsibilities we have fulfilled," Chen replied. "But apparently fulfilling them makes us aggressive. Building makes us dangerous. Helping makes us interfering. You have made your position clear. You do not want our involvement. Very well. You shall have exactly what you wished for." She turned to the other human delegates. They stood as one. "This is theatrical posturing," Chairman Velkoth said, but there was uncertainty in his voice now. "You will return within a week, asking to rejoin. You need the Council more than the Council needs you." Ambassador Chen looked at him for a long moment. "Perhaps," she said quietly. "I suppose we will all find out together." And then, without another word, every human in the chamber vanished. Not left, vanished. Emergency teleportation, directly to their ships in orbit. Within seconds, alerts began flooding into the chamber. Human vessels were leaving every council station, every embassy, every trade post, thousands of ships, all moving at once. Chairman Velkoth stared at the empty human section. "This is madness," he whispered. But the humans were already gone. In the hours that followed, the scale of the withdrawal became clear. It was not just diplomats. Human military advisors left their posts. Human engineers disappeared from maintenance stations. Human doctors evacuated from medical facilities. Human teachers abandoned their positions at universities. Human traders closed their businesses. Every single human in Council space was going home. The Council initially tried to stop them. A Zephyrian patrol attempted to intercept a human evacuation convoy near the Delton sector. The patrol ships found themselves unable to move, their systems frozen but undamaged. By the time they regained control, the human ships were gone. A Drachnid administrator tried to prevent human workers from leaving a vital power station. The humans simply walked out. The administrator threatened to arrest them for breach of contract. The humans showed him their termination notices, filed and approved 3 months earlier, with all obligations fulfilled. They had been planning this. For 48 hours, it was chaos. But it was organized chaos. Humans moved with purpose and precision. They did not run. They simply left, calmly and completely. The human colonies were different. They did not leave because they were already home. But they did change. Colonial governors made simultaneous announcements. They were declaring independence, not from Earth, but from Council jurisdiction. Ancient defense systems, ones the Council did not know existed, powered up around human worlds. When a Council scout ship approached the human colony on Andros Prime to investigate, it was met by a wall of weapons satellites. The ship was not fired upon. It was simply told to leave. When the captain protested, citing Council authority, the response was simple. "The Council has no authority here anymore. Leave now." The scout ship left. But the strangest thing, the thing that began to disturb even the most dismissive Council members, was Sol's system itself. Earth went silent. Not conquered, not destroyed, just silent. Every broadcast stopped. Every communication signal ended. Every entertainment stream, every news channel, every scientific data transmission, every commercial beacon gone. The flood of human culture that had poured out from Earth for 150 years simply stopped. It was as if someone had thrown a switch and turned Earth off. Junior analyst Kirava, a young insectoid being from the Mantis Collective, noticed it first. She worked in the Council's communications monitoring department, a job most considered boring. Her role was to catalog broadcast signatures from member worlds, ensuring that communication protocols were being followed. Earth had always been her most active file. Humans broadcasted constantly. Music, news, entertainment, scientific papers, commercial advertisements. The sheer volume of human communication had required its own dedicated servers. Now those servers were empty. Kirava checked her systems 3 times, certain there was an error. But there was no error. Earth was simply not transmitting anything. The Sol system was still there. Scans showed it was intact, populated, functioning. But it was not talking. For a species that had been the loudest voice in the Council for 150 years, this silence was wrong. Humans did not do silence. They debated, argued, shared, discussed, broadcast, transmitted, and communicated constantly. It was their nature. But now, nothing. Kirava flagged her report and sent it up the chain of command. She marked it as unusual, but not critical. After all, the humans had only been gone for 2 days. They were probably just reorganizing. She could not have known that her report would be the first warning of what was coming. In his private chambers, Chairman Velkoth reviewed the withdrawal data. His advisors stood nearby, waiting for instructions. "They will be back," he said, though he sounded like he was trying to convince himself. "Humans are emotional, impulsive. They will realize they need the council and return." His primary advisor, a cautious being named Zeltoth, made a gesture of uncertainty. "My lord, perhaps we should attempt communication. Ambassador Chen was always reasonable if we reach out." "No," Velkoth said firmly. "If we reach out now, it looks like weakness. They left. Let them feel the consequences of isolation. They will return, and when they do, it will be on our terms." But even as he said it, Velkoth felt a small seed of doubt. He remembered Chen's face, that strange, calm smile. That was not the face of someone making an emotional decision. That was the face of someone who had planned everything. Across the galaxy, in the newly independent human colony of Nova Terra, Governor Williams stood on a balcony overlooking the capital city. Behind him, his military commander, General Ramirez, waited quietly. "All personnel accounted for?" Williams asked. "Yes, sir. Every human in council space is either home or on their way home. Not a single casualty. Not a single incident beyond minor intimidation attempts that failed." Williams nodded. "And the defense systems?" "Active. Full coverage. Nothing gets in or out of human space without our permission." "Good." Williams continued to stare at the city below. Lights were coming on as evening fell. Life continued, peaceful and normal. His people did not know yet what was coming, what had to come. "Do you think they understand?" Ramirez asked quietly. Williams smiled, the same smile Ambassador Chen had worn. "Not yet. But they will. You cannot appreciate light until you have sat in darkness. The council is about to learn what darkness looks like." "How long do we wait?" "As long as it takes. Days, weeks, months. However long it takes for them to understand what they had, what they lost, what they threw away because it was easier to resent us than appreciate us." "And if they never learn?" Williams turned to face his friend. "Then we stay silent. Forever, if necessary. We will not beg to be appreciated. We will not plead to be valued. Either they learn or they fall. That is their choice, not ours." He walked back inside, leaving the general alone on the balcony. Above them, in orbit, hundreds of warships hung in the darkness. Ships the Council had never seen. Ships humanity had built during 150 years of being called too aggressive, too militaristic, too dangerous. Ships that now waited in silence. In the council chambers, the delegates had finally quieted. The shock was wearing off, replaced by anger for some, concern for others. Kirava sat in the communications center, watching her monitors. The silence from Sol System continued. She pulled up historical data, comparing current readings to past patterns. What she saw made her antennae twitch with worry. For the past 150 years, Earth had maintained thousands of communication relays across council space. They were small things, easily overlooked. Humanity had said they needed them for coordinating their far-flung operations. The council had not objected. Those relays were shutting down, one by one, quietly and systematically. Kirava began to understand. Those relays did not just serve humanity. They served everyone. They boosted signals, routed communications, maintained connections across vast distances. Humans had built and maintained them for free, claiming it was simpler than paying council fees. But now they were going dark. She began typing a new report, her digits moving faster. This was not just unusual, this was a problem. but she was just a junior analyst. Her reports went to a supervisor who sent them to a manager who forwarded them to a director. By the time anyone important saw her warnings, it would be too late. The first domino had fallen. The galaxy was about to learn what humanity's silence could do. The Interstellar Banking Consortium realized the problem first. It was 3 days after the human departure when Director Vexnall, a being whose species existed primarily as organized energy patterns, noticed that 34% of all galactic financial transactions had simply stopped processing. Not failed, not rejected, just stopped. He called an emergency meeting. Analysts from a dozen species crowded into the virtual meeting space, their avatars flickering with concern. "Show me the failure points," Vexnall commanded. A holographic map of the galaxy appeared, covered in red warning lights, thousands of them scattered across every sector. "It is not a failure, Director," one analyst said nervously. "The systems are working, but the routing protocols are not functioning correctly. Transactions are queuing but not completing." "Why not?" The analyst hesitated. "The quantum financial networks. They were designed by human cryptographers and maintained by human technicians. The base code is human-made. Without their updates and maintenance, the system is beginning to develop errors." Vexnall felt something his species rarely experienced: fear. "How long before complete failure?" "Unknown. Days, maybe weeks. The code is degrading faster than anticipated." "Contact the humans. Offer them whatever they want to come back and fix this." There was an uncomfortable silence. "Director, we tried. The communication was received but not answered. Sol system is still silent." Vexnall stared at the map of failures spreading across the galaxy like a disease. 34% of all transactions. Trillions of credits frozen in digital space, and it was only getting worse. This was just the beginning. Trade Captain Sorval had been hauling cargo across the same route for 20 years. The jump from Sector 7 to Sector 12 was easy, well-traveled, and safe. He made the jump without thinking, as he had done thousands of times before. But this time, he did not arrive at the correct coordinates. His ship emerged from hyperspace 3 light-years off course, dangerously close to a gravity well. Alarms screamed. His crew scrambled to avoid being pulled into the nearby star. They survived. Barely. "What happened?" Sorval demanded, his tentacles quivering with stress. His navigator was checking and rechecking her systems. "The hyperspace beacon, Captain. It gave us incorrect coordinates." "That is impossible. Those beacons are maintained constantly. They do not fail." But even as he said it, Sorval remembered something. He remembered the human maintenance crews he always saw at the beacon stations, small teams, working constantly, updating and repairing. He had never thought much about them. Maintenance was boring work that someone had to do. Someone. Humans, apparently. He checked the Galactic Beacon network status. His body went cold. Across the network of over 2,000 hyperspace beacons, maintenance logs showed the same thing. Last service performed by human crews. Last update, 4 days ago. Status, degrading. Sorval sent an immediate warning to the Trade Authority. Then he plotted a new course using the old, slower methods that did not rely on beacon navigation. His journey would take 3 times as long. He was lucky. That day, 17 ships miscalculated their jumps. 5 were destroyed. The others were stranded, calling for rescue. The galaxy was a very large place. Travel depended on those beacons, and the humans had been maintaining them all. At the Council Medical Research Facility on Praxis Station, Dr. Thelnara received an emergency call from Theta Colony. The Mantis doctor listened to the symptoms being described and felt her limbs go stiff with horror. "Red fever," she said simply. "You have an outbreak of red fever." "Can you send treatment?" the colony administrator begged. "We have 1,500 infected. The number is rising." Thelnara was already checking her inventory. then checking again, then checking a third time, hoping she was wrong. "I do not have enough," she said quietly. "I have perhaps 50 doses. The medicine is not commonly stocked because red fever is rare. It requires specialized manufacturing." "Then contact the manufacturer!" Thelnara had already pulled up that information. Her mandibles clicked with distress. The manufacturer was Terrigen Pharmaceuticals, a human company based in Sol System. Silence on the other end of the communication. "Contact them," the administrator finally said. "Beg them. Offer them anything. We have children dying here." Thelnara sent the message. Like all messages sent to human space in the past week, she received an automated response. "You have reached Sol System. This space is now closed to external contact. Do not approach." She sent the 50 doses she had. It was not nearly enough. On Theta Colony, the death toll began to rise. Thelnara began investigating the pharmaceutical supply chain. What she discovered made her sick. 412 essential medicines, all either manufactured by human companies or requiring human-made components. Antibiotics, antivirals, cancer treatments, regeneration therapies. Some unique to specific species, some universal. Humans had not monopolized the industry. They had simply been very good at it, and other species had been happy to let them handle it. Why invest in expensive medical manufacturing when humans would do it cheaper and better? Now that supply was gone. Dr. Thelnara sent her report to the Council Medical Authority. She flagged it as critical. Then she went to her office and wept for the people she could not save. Chancellor Prex of the Drachnid Union was beginning to understand that something was very wrong. Reports flooded his desk. Trade disruptions, medical shortages, navigation failures, communication breakdowns, and always, always the same explanation. Humans had been handling it. He called an emergency meeting with his advisors. "Explain to me," he said, his massive form hunched over the conference table, "how we allowed one species to become so integrated into our infrastructure that their absence causes this much chaos." His chief of staff, a smaller drachnid named Velcha, clicked her mandibles nervously. "My lord, they did not force this integration. They offered services, we accepted them. It seemed efficient." "Efficient," Prex repeated. "We became dependent." "We became accustomed, my lord. The humans never charged excessive fees. Their work was reliable. It was easy to forget they were doing it." Prex stood and walked to the window of his office, looking out over the capital city of his home world. "I pushed for the Expansion Limitation Act. I argued that humans were too aggressive, too involved, too controlling." "You were not alone, my lord. 2,846 species agreed. And now we see the truth. They were not controlling. They were supporting. There is a difference." He turned back to his staff. "Contact Ambassador Chen immediately. Tell her I wish to negotiate their return." Velcha hesitated. "My lord, we have tried. All attempts to contact Sol System are ignored." "Try harder. Send a delegation. Send gifts. Send apologies. I do not care. Get the humans back." But even as he gave the order, Prex knew it would not be that simple. He remembered Ambassador Chen's face as she left. That was not the face of someone who would be easily convinced to return. That was the face of someone teaching a lesson. In the Council's Central Security Office, alarms began to sound. Pirate activity along the trade routes had increased by 300% in just 1 week. Security Director Kaltos studied the reports with growing alarm. The attacks were concentrated in areas that had previously been safe, areas where pirate activity had been nearly zero for decades. "What changed?" he demanded. His assistant brought up historical patrol data. "Sir, these routes were patrolled by human military vessels. They called them training exercises and logistical movements. We thought they were just moving their ships around." They were protecting the trade routes. Yes, sir. Apparently. Kaltos felt anger rising. And they never told us? Never asked for compensation? They told us, sir. Multiple times. We dismissed it as humans being human, aggressive, militaristic, inserting themselves where they were not needed. Kaltos looked at the map of pirate attacks spreading like wildfire. They were needed. The Council security force scrambled to fill the gaps, but they were spread too thin, moving too slowly. Pirates were smart. They knew the humans were gone, and they knew the Council could not respond fast enough. Ships were seized. Cargo was stolen. Civilians died. The safe galaxy that the Council had enjoyed for generations was becoming dangerous again. Junior analyst Kirava had been working non-stop for a week. Her initial report about Earth's silence had been ignored. Her second report about the communication relays had been filed away. Her third report about infrastructure failures had finally gotten attention. Now she had been pulled into an emergency task force. Her job: figure out exactly what humans had been doing in Council space and what their absence would affect. The answer, she was discovering, was everything. She sat surrounded by holographic displays, each showing a different system: financial networks, trade routes, medical supplies, defense coordination, scientific databases, entertainment distribution, universal translation protocols, terraforming consultation, genetic research, energy grid management. The list kept growing. "This cannot be right," said her supervisor, a crystalline being named Tharax. "One species cannot be this integrated into everything." "It was not sudden," Kirava explained. "It was gradual. Over 150 years, humans offered services. They were good at these services. They were reliable and cheap, often free. Other species accepted. Why not? It was beneficial. But now we see the cost of that benefit. We became dependent without realizing it." Tharax studied the displays. "How bad is it?" Kirava highlighted sections in red. "Critical failures will begin in these areas within days. Major disruptions in these areas within weeks. Long-term degradation in these areas within months." Nearly the entire display was highlighted. "Show me what humans were doing that the Council knew about," Tharax said quietly. Kirava filtered the data. A small portion of the display remained. "This is what they did officially. Diplomatic services, some trade, some cultural exchange. And the rest? The rest was what they did without fanfare: maintenance, support, protection. They did it so smoothly that no one noticed it was happening." Tharax was silent for a long moment. "We took them for granted." "Yes," Kirava said simply. "Can we fix this without them?" Kirava looked at her supervisor. She respected Tharax, but she needed to be honest. "Eventually, yes. We can relearn what they were doing. We can rebuild the systems they maintained. We can fill the roles they filled. But it will take years, maybe decades. And in the meantime..." She did not need to finish. They both knew what would happen in the meantime: chaos, collapse, suffering. Chairman Velkoth finally authorized a diplomatic mission to Sol System. He chose 5 ships, crewed by the most diplomatic and non-threatening species available. The fleet was led by Ambassador Klenoth, a being known for his peaceful negotiation skills. Their instructions were simple: apologize, negotiate, convince the humans to return. The fleet entered human space, broadcasting messages of peace and friendship on all frequencies. They announced their diplomatic status. They requested an audience. Sol System did not respond. The fleet proceeded carefully, moving toward Earth. They saw the defense platforms. They saw the orbital stations. They saw thousands of human ships in formation, but none of them moved. None of them responded. "This is Ambassador Klenoth of the Galactic Council," the ambassador broadcast. "We come in peace. We request dialogue." Silence. The fleet moved closer to Earth. The moon grew larger in their view screens, and then suddenly their systems went dark. Not destroyed, not damaged, just off. Life support continued. Gravity continued. But engines, weapons, communications, sensors, all offline. Ambassador Klenoth stood on his bridge, suddenly helpless. And then, on every screen in every ship, a message appeared. It was a human face. Male, middle-aged, with kind eyes and a gentle smile. "Hello," the human said. "I am Admiral Harrison, commander of Sol System Defense. You have entered restricted space without authorization." "We have authorization," Klenoth said desperately. "We are Council ambassadors on a diplomatic mission." "The Council has no authority here. We told you this. We asked you not to approach." "Please, we need to speak with your government. The Council needs—" "Needs what?" The Admiral's smile never changed, but something in his eyes grew cold. "Needs us? Interesting. The Council voted to limit us, restrict us, criticized us constantly. But now that we are gone, the Council needs us." "Admiral, please." "Your ships are not damaged. You will be escorted out of Sol System. Do not return. Tell the Council that when they are ready to treat humanity with respect, they may send a message. We will consider whether to respond." "When will that be?" Admiral Harrison's smile widened slightly. "That depends entirely on the Council. Good day, Ambassador." The screens went blank. The ship's systems reactivated. And slowly, gently, but irresistibly, the 5 Council vessels were pushed out of human space by tractor beams they could not see or resist. They returned to Council space with the message. No one had been hurt. No one had been threatened. But the humiliation was complete. Humanity did not need to be aggressive. They simply needed to say no. Chairman Velkoth listened to the report in silence. When it finished, he dismissed everyone from his chambers. He needed to think. The galaxy was falling apart. The humans were responsible for holding it together, and they were gone. Worse, they were not gone by force or tragedy. They left by choice. Because the Council had made them feel unwelcome. Because 2,846 species had decided humanity was the problem. Velkoth had been one of the loudest voices demanding limits on human expansion. He had argued that humanity was dangerous, too aggressive, too controlling. He had been wrong, catastrophically wrong. And now the galaxy would pay the price for his mistake. The silence from Earth continued, and in that silence, the galaxy began to crumble. 2 months after the humans left, the Galactic Defense Network crashed. It started with small errors. A sensor here, a targeting system there. Nothing critical, nothing immediate. The technicians assumed it was normal degradation and scheduled routine maintenance. But the errors multiplied. Faster than anyone expected, faster than anyone could fix. Defense Director Martek stood in the network control center, watching red warning lights spread across the holographic display like an infection. His species did not sweat, but he felt the equivalent burning through his body. "Talk to me," he commanded. "What is happening?" The head technician, a multi-limbed being named Sorplex, worked frantically at her console. "The core systems are failing, Director. The code is fragmenting. We cannot identify the source. Then bring in specialists. Offer whatever fees necessary." "Sir, we have. They are analyzing the code now." Sorplex's voice cracked with stress. "They say the architecture is beyond their expertise. The network was designed by humans, sir. 130 years ago, when the collective of 8 first threatened the Council, the humans built the defense grid and maintained it ever since." Martek felt his heart sink. "Maintained it how?" "Constantly, sir. Updates, patches, optimization. The base code is human-designed, but they added layers upon layers of improvements over the decades. No one else understood it well enough to work on it. The humans did it all. And they never shared the complete specifications? They offered, sir, multiple times. The offers are in the archives. But the council decided it was unnecessary. The humans were doing it for free and the system worked perfectly. Why waste resources learning it ourselves? Martek wanted to scream. Instead, he kept his voice level. How long until complete failure? Sorplex did not answer immediately. She ran more calculations. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely a whisper. 3 months, sir. Maybe 4. The network will be completely non-functional. The collective of 8 is still out there. If they learn our defenses are down, then we are vulnerable, sir. Very vulnerable. Martek sent an emergency report to the council. The defense network protected every council world from external threats. It was the shield that had kept them safe for over a century, and it was dying. The council emergency session lasted 14 hours. Delegates screamed at each other in thousands of languages. Accusations flew. Blame was assigned and reassigned. Chancellor Prex of the Drachnid Union finally brought order by slamming his massive claws on his podium hard enough to crack the crystal. Enough! He roared. The question is not who is at fault. The question is what we do now. We must bring the humans back, someone shouted. They refuse contact, another voice answered. Then we force them. Force them? With what? Our defense network that is failing. Our fleet that relied on human logistics? Our weapons that needed human maintenance? The chamber fell silent. The truth was spreading like poison. They could not force humanity to do anything. Not anymore. Maybe not ever. Junior analyst Kirava had been promoted. She was no longer junior, and she was no longer just an analyst. Now she was the head of a task force dedicated to understanding and documenting humanity's true role in council operations. What she was finding terrified her. She stood before the council leadership, presenting her complete report. Her voice was steady, but her antennae trembled with distress. Honorable leaders, she began, I have compiled a comprehensive analysis of human involvement in council operations over the past 150 years. The scope is far beyond what anyone understood. She activated the holographic display. It filled the chamber with data. The humans maintained 89% of the Galactic Defense Network. They performed routine maintenance on over 2,000 hyperspace navigation beacons. They operated or supplied 412 categories of essential medicines. They maintained the Universal Translation Database, updating it daily with new linguistic patterns. They provided the logistics network for council fleet operations. They mediated 340 ongoing territorial disputes. They patrolled trade routes against piracy. They operated the quantum banking infrastructure. Enough. Chairman Velkoth interrupted. His voice was hollow. We understand. Continue. Kirava hesitated, then pressed on. The critical point, Chairman, is that humanity did most of this work without formal contracts or compensation. They simply did it. When asked why, they said it was easier to do it themselves than to coordinate with council bureaucracy. We accepted this explanation and forgot they were doing it. She pulled up financial records. In the past 150 years, humanity contributed over 7 trillion credits worth of services to the council infrastructure. They charged for almost none of it. They called it their contribution to galactic peace and prosperity. And we thanked them by restricting their expansion and calling them aggressive, Prex said bitterly. Yes, Chancellor. The silence in the chamber was absolute. Kirava pulled up another display. There is more. The humans were also preparing for threats the council refused to acknowledge. Explain, Velkoth said. The collective of 8. Humanity has been monitoring them for decades. They filed reports. They warned the council repeatedly that the collective was building military strength. They recommended defensive preparations. Every report was dismissed as human paranoia and militarism. Show me these reports. Kirava pulled them up. Hundreds of them, detailed analyses of collective fleet movements, strategic assessments, warning after warning after warning, all filed away, all ignored. The humans were right, Velkoth said softly. They saw the threat. They tried to warn us. We did not listen. No, Chairman. We called them warmongers and told them to stop interfering in galactic politics. Velkoth stood slowly. He looked around at the assembled delegates. Many looked ashamed. Some looked angry. All looked scared. We have made, he said carefully, a catastrophic mistake. Before anyone could respond, alarms began to sound. Emergency alerts flooded every console in the chamber. Defense Director Martek appeared on the main screen, his expression grim. Chairman, the Collective of 8 has launched an invasion. Multiple fleets crossing into Council space. They are hitting border worlds. How many ships? Thousands, sir. This is a full-scale invasion. The chamber erupted into panic. Velkoth tried to maintain order, but even he felt fear clawing at his mind. Deploy the defense fleet, he commanded. Sir, without the network fully operational, coordination will be difficult. And sir, Martek hesitated. Our fleet has not been properly maintained in 2 months. The human maintenance crews are gone. We have functional ships, but not at full capacity. The Collective of 8 had been waiting, watching. They had seen the humans leave. They had seen the Council weaken. And now they struck. Within 1 week, 17 Council worlds surrendered without firing a shot. Their orbital defenses failed to activate. Their planetary shields flickered and died. Their weapon systems malfunctioned at critical moments. All because humans had been maintaining them, and now the humans were gone. The Council fleet engaged the Collective Armada in the Corvin sector. It should have been a strong defense. The Council had numbers and position. But the fleet's tactical coordination AI, designed and maintained by human programmers, began making critical errors. Ships received conflicting orders, formation patterns collapsed. The carefully rehearsed battle plans fell apart. The Council fleet retreated in disarray. More worlds fell. The Collective advanced steadily, meeting minimal resistance. They could not believe how easy it was. The mighty Galactic Council, the alliance that had dominated this region of space for thousands of years, was crumbling like paper. In her office, Kirava worked through the night, compiling more data. She was looking for something specific now, something she suspected but needed to confirm. She found it in the archived files. A proposal from 40 years ago, submitted by Ambassador Chen herself. The proposal outlined a comprehensive defense plan against the Collective. It included fleet positioning, defensive satellite networks, early warning systems, and military coordination protocols. It was detailed, professional, and clearly the work of someone who understood military strategy. The Council had rejected it. Too expensive, too militaristic, too aggressive. Humanity was being paranoid again. But Kirava found something else in the files. A note buried deep in the archived data. Proposal rejected by Council. Humanity will implement defensive measures independently in human territory. We hope the Council never needs them, but if you do, they will be available. Kirava stared at the note. Even after being rejected, even after being called paranoid and militaristic, humanity had built the defenses anyway, just in case the Council needed them. And now the Council did need them. Desperately. She took her findings to Chairman Velkoth personally. The chairman looked older now, worn down by stress and failure. He read Kirava's report in silence. They built defenses for us, he said finally. Even after we rejected their help, even after we insulted them. Yes, Chairman. Where are these defenses? Human territory, sir, along the borders between Council space and human colonies. The humans created a defensive perimeter around Council worlds, not their own worlds. They were protecting us. Velkoth closed his eyes. The weight of his mistakes was crushing him. They were not aggressive, he said quietly. They were selfless. They saw threats we refused to see. They built protections we refused to fund. They maintained systems we forgot existed, and we thanked them by calling them dangerous and passing laws to limit them. Yes, Chairman. We did not just lose a member species. We lost our protectors, our supporters, our friends. He looked at Kirava. Can we fix this? Not without them, sir. Not in time. Then we must convince them to return. They refuse all contact, sir. Velkoth stood, straightening his robes. Then we must give them a reason to listen. We must show them we understand what we lost, what we did wrong. How, sir? I do not know yet, but I will find a way. I must. 3 days later, a message arrived at Council headquarters. It was brief, just 3 words, but it came from Sol's system, the first communication humanity had sent since leaving. Are you ready? The message confused many delegates. Ready for what? What did it mean? But Kirava understood. She had studied humanity for months now. She understood how they thought. The humans were asking if the Council was ready to learn, ready to understand, ready to change, ready to appreciate what they had taken for granted. Chairman Velkoth stared at the message for hours. 3 words, a question, a test. Was the Council ready? He looked at the reports flooding his desk. 73 worlds conquered or surrendered, defense networks failing, trade collapsing, medical crises spreading chaos everywhere. The galaxy was burning, and the humans, safe behind their borders, simply watched. They had asked one question: Are you ready? Velkoth did not know the answer, but he knew they were running out of time to figure it out. In Sol's system, Admiral Harrison read the status reports from the front lines. The collective was advancing as predicted. The Council was falling as predicted. Everything was going exactly as humanity had known it would. Should we intervene? An aide asked. Not yet, Harrison said. They need to understand first. Really understand. If we save them now, they will learn nothing. They will return to taking us for granted within a generation. More worlds will fall. More people will die. Yes, and that is tragic. But if we teach this lesson poorly, even more will die in the future. The Council must learn that cooperation requires appreciation, that help is a gift, not a right, that silence can be more powerful than words. He looked out at Earth, blue and beautiful and silent. We will know when they are ready. They will show us. Until then, we wait. And in the darkness of space, the human fleet remained still, watching the galaxy burn, waiting for the moment when they would be truly welcomed back. Not as servants, not as tools, but as equals. The silence continued, and the lesson continued with it. The Galactic Defense Network failed completely on day 73 of the invasion. The failure was not dramatic. There was no explosion, no catastrophic cascade. The system simply stopped working. Targeting solutions became incorrect, threat assessments returned errors. Coordination protocols crashed. The vast network of sensors, weapons, and defensive platforms that protected Council space went dark. Defense Director Martek stood in the control center and watched it die. Around him, technicians worked desperately, trying to restart systems, bypass corrupted code, restore any functionality at all. Nothing worked. The network was dead. Send the report to the Council, Martek said quietly. His voice was empty of emotion. He had none left to give. Within hours, the collective learned what had happened. Their advance accelerated. Worlds that might have held out for weeks or months surrendered within days. Without the defense network, resistance was nearly impossible. The Council space shrank by the day. Chairman Velkoth convened another emergency session. The chamber was half empty now. Many delegates had fled to their homeworlds to prepare for invasion. Others had simply given up, waiting for the inevitable. Those who remained looked broken. "We have failed," Velkoth said simply. There was no point in hiding the truth anymore. Our civilization is collapsing. The collective will not stop until they have conquered us all. We have perhaps months remaining, maybe weeks. "Then surrender," someone shouted. "Negotiate terms with the collective. Save what we can." "And live as slaves?" Prex roared back. "Never!" "Then what?" The voice was desperate. "What can we do? We cannot fight them. We cannot defend ourselves. The humans are gone, and they will not return." "We have not given them reason to return," a new voice said. Everyone turned. Kirava stood at a speaking platform, her antennae rigid with determination. She was young, especially by council standards, but she had become the foremost expert on humanity. "Analyst Kirava," Velkoth said, "please share your thoughts. We need all perspectives now." Kirava activated her display. "I have spent 3 months studying humanity, their history, their culture, their psychology. I have reviewed every interaction between humans and the Council over 150 years, and I have reached a conclusion." She pulled up historical records. Complaints about humans, criticisms, restrictions, vote after vote limiting human activities. We treated them as a problem to be managed. They built infrastructure, we called it interference. They maintained systems, we called it control. They protected trade routes, we called it militarism. They warned us about threats, we called it paranoia. For 150 years, humanity contributed to this council while being constantly criticized for those very contributions. The delegates shifted uncomfortably. When Ambassador Chen walked out, she did not do it in anger. She did it in sadness. I have reviewed the footage many times. That was the face of someone who had tried and finally gave up. We did not drive them away with one act. We wore them down with thousands of small rejections. "What is your point?" someone asked. "My point," Kirava said firmly, "is that humanity does not want us to beg. They do not want us to grovel. They want us to understand. They want us to appreciate what they did. They want us to see them as equals, not as servants or problems." "We do see them as equals." "Do we?" Kirava challenged. "Then why did we pass laws restricting only their expansion? Why did we accept their free services without thanks? Why did we ignore their warnings? Why did we dismiss their concerns? We treated them like useful tools, not like partners." Silence filled the chamber. "The humans sent us a message," Kirava continued. 3 words. Are you ready? They are not asking if we are ready to grovel. They are asking if we are ready to change, to treat them with the respect they have earned. To be true partners, not just beneficiaries of their generosity. Chairman Velkoth stood slowly. "Then we must show them we have learned this lesson. We must show them we understand." "How?" Prex asked. "They will not even speak with us." "We must make them an offer they cannot ignore," Velkoth said. "Not bribes, not payment, but real change, real partnership, real respect." "It may already be too late," someone said quietly. "Perhaps," Velkoth agreed. "But we must try. Analyst Kirava, you understand humans better than anyone here. I am appointing you as special ambassador to humanity. You will carry our message to Sol System." Kirava's antennae went rigid with shock. "Chairman, I am not qualified." "You are the only one qualified. You understand what we did wrong. You understand what they need to hear. Will you do this?" Kirava looked around the chamber. She saw fear, yes, but also hope. Desperate, fragile hope. "Yes, Chairman. I will try." 3 days later, Kirava's small diplomatic vessel approached Sol System. She traveled alone in an unarmed ship, broadcasting messages of peace on all frequencies. "This is Ambassador Kirava of the Galactic Council," she said. "I request permission to speak with human leadership. I come not to demand or beg, but to listen and to learn. Please." Give me a chance. For hours, there was no response. Kirava continued broadcasting, continued moving slowly toward Earth. Part of her expected to be turned away like the others. Then her ship's systems went dark. Life support continued, but everything else stopped. She felt her ship being pulled gently toward the moon. Luna Station materialized around her. Docking clamps engaged. Her ship settled into a berth. A voice came through her communication system. Ambassador Kirava, you are cleared to exit your vessel. Someone will meet you. With trembling limbs, Kirava opened her ship's hatch. The human waiting for her was female, middle-aged, with silver-streaked hair and calm eyes. She wore a simple suit, no military uniform, no ceremonial robes. Ambassador Kirava, the human said with a slight smile. I am President Martinez of Earth. Welcome to Luna Station. You are the first council representative we have allowed to enter our space since the departure. Why me? Kirava asked. Because you tried to understand. Come, we have much to discuss. President Martinez led Kirava through Luna Station. The facility was massive, far larger than any council member had realized. Shipyards stretched in every direction. Factories hummed with activity. Military vessels in numbers that made Kirava's limbs weak lined the docks. You have been building, she said quietly. For 150 years, Martinez confirmed. Every time the council criticized us for being too militaristic, we built another ship. Every time they limited our expansion, we developed new technologies. Every time they called us aggressive, we strengthened our defenses. Not because we wanted war, but because we knew it would come eventually. We tried to protect the council. They did not want our protection. So we protected ourselves instead. They reached a conference room. Inside, several humans waited. Kirava recognized Ambassador Chen, now looking older but still sharp-eyed. There were military leaders, scientists, politicians. Sit, Martinez said kindly. Tell us why you came. Kirava sat. Her prepared speech vanished from her mind. All the diplomatic phrases fled. She could only speak the truth. We were wrong, she said simply. The council was wrong. I was tasked with analyzing humanity's role in council operations. What I found horrified me. You gave everything. You asked for nothing. You protected us while we resented you for it. You maintained our civilization while we complained about your methods. And when you left, everything collapsed. We did not just lose a member species, we lost the foundation of our entire society. The humans listened without interrupting. The collective is destroying us, Kirava continued. Worlds fall every day. Our defenses failed, our fleet cannot coordinate. Our infrastructure is crumbling, we are dying, and it is our own fault. We took you for granted. We treated you like tools instead of partners. We learned too late that you were the only thing holding us together. She looked at each human in turn. I cannot offer you enough apology. I cannot undo 150 years of disrespect. I can only tell you the truth. The council understands now. Too late. But we understand. You were not the problem. You were the solution. And we threw you away. Silence filled the room. Ambassador Chen spoke first. Why should we help? Give me one reason why humanity should shed blood to save the council. I cannot, Kirava said honestly. You owe us nothing. We owe you everything. If you choose to remain silent, to let us fall, you would be justified. We made our choice. We should face the consequences. Then why are you here? Because... Kirava struggled to find words. Because despite everything, I believe humanity is better than we are. I have studied your history. Your own world was divided for millennia. You fought terrible wars. You made terrible mistakes. But you learned. You grew. You chose cooperation over domination. You chose to help others even when it cost you. That is who you are. She met Chen's eyes. I am here because I hope that humanity's compassion is stronger than our stupidity. that your desire to help is stronger than your justified anger. I am here not because we deserve your help, but because billions of innocent people need it. People who never voted against you, who never criticized you, children who do not understand why their worlds are burning. President Martinez leaned forward. And if we help, what changes? How do we ensure this never happens again? The Council is prepared to offer full autonomy for human territory, Kirava said. Complete independence in your own affairs. We will restructure Council voting to give humanity real power, not just a single vote among thousands. We will publicly acknowledge everything you did for us. We will— No, Chen interrupted. Kirava felt her hope crumble. No? Those are concessions born from desperation, Chen explained. Yes, we will accept them, but that is not enough. We need something deeper. We need the Council to fundamentally change how it treats all members, not just humans. We need transparent acknowledgement of contributions. We need fair distribution of responsibilities. We need respect for all species who help maintain galactic civilization, not just lip service while taking their work for granted. Martinez nodded. Humanity was not the only species doing thankless work. We were just the most visible and the most criticized. There are dozens of species who maintain infrastructure, provide services, protect others. They are ignored just like we were. That must change. It will, Kirava promised. I will make it my life's work. Then we have a basis for negotiation, Martinez said. She stood and walked to the window. Outside, the human fleet hung in space, vast and powerful. We will help you defeat the collective, she said quietly. We will save the Council, but on our terms. Full partnership, real authority, and genuine respect. Not just for humans, but for everyone who contributes to the common good. The Council must learn that civilization is built on cooperation, and cooperation requires appreciation. Yes, Kirava agreed. Yes to all of it. Then let us begin, Martinez said, turning back. Admiral Harrison, prepare the fleet. We have a galaxy to save. Kirava felt tears running down her face. Thank you, she whispered. Thank us by making sure the Council learns this lesson, Chen said firmly. Make sure they never forget what their arrogance cost. Make sure they never again take their protectors for granted. I will, Kirava promised. I swear it. The meeting continued for hours. Details were negotiated. Terms were agreed upon. Plans were made. And outside, the human fleet began to move. 10,000 ships emerged from hiding, ships the Council had never known existed. Dreadnoughts and carriers, destroyers and cruisers, support vessels and assault craft. A fleet built over 150 years of being called too militaristic. The fleet that would save the galaxy. Admiral Harrison stood on his flagship's bridge, watching the armada assemble. His crew worked efficiently, their training obvious in every movement. All ships report ready, his first officer said. Set course for Council space, Harrison commanded. Maximum speed. The collective is about to learn why humanity stopped talking. The fleet jumped to hyperspace, moving faster than the collective's scouts could detect. They had been planning this operation for months, refining it while the Council struggled. They knew exactly where to strike, and 3 words echoed through every human ship. Are you ready? The Council had answered. Now humanity would show them what true partnership looked like. The silence was ending, but the lesson would never be forgotten.